You ready?
You're forgetting to eat.
All right, let's do this.
All right, welcome to Mental Mismanagement. We are your host, Ashley Burkeen.
Pat Fitzgerald.
And we have a special guest in the studio today. She is a author of children's books currently. I have known her for a long time, and she is also a business owner. And such a blessing to get to know her. She is well-rounded in many, many areas in life. And we are excited to have her on today to talk a little bit about her book, but mostly get to know her and kind of what her past history has been with the mental side of things in business.
This should be pretty cool because I don't know anything about her.
Oh, so you get to learn.
So I get to learn all kinds of cool
Fantastic.
stuff. Yep.
Well, without any further ado, please welcome my dear friend, Wendy, and author, by the way, which I'm super proud of her for, Mrs. Wendy Melrose. Hello, Miss Wendy.
Hello.
That was great.
It's great. So, Wendy, we started this podcast not too long ago. You are writing your second book, or you have written your second book?
Oh, no, girl. This launches tomorrow, and it's number 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Like, I did 4 last year, and this is number 5. And then I've got number 6 that launches next month. And then there's more.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, God has really taught me how to, like, write really fast. I did this in 76 days.
That is so cool. So I do want to get to the book stuff because I think that that's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, we have our first caller.
I love you. I love you.
Oh, man. Somebody forgot to turn that phone on.
That is so perfect. Oh my God. I have to leave that in because that was just so perfect. I was like pausing so we could cut it out, but I have to leave that in.
No, who is it?
Patrick, meet Wendy.
Yeah.
So you are an author now, but before
Keep
we
talking. I'll be right back.
You're good. Before we dive into that, though, I want to discuss kind of like your background and where you came from. Because when I met you, you owned an insurance agency, and you were a powerhouse, I believe, in that, right? And then you ran one of our chapter meetings for business. So tell us a little bit about your background and where you came from.
Sure. So, like, if we rewind it all the way back to when I started working in 1994, I've been going through like 40 different jobs. I'm that type of a person.
So that makes you how old? Never mind.
I'm 46 in March. So like I said, I'm transparent like glass. So anyway, most recently I was a farmer's insurance agency owner. I loved it till I didn't, right? Just like with all things, like everything has a season. And it wasn't until like October of 2022, like I loved it. And then like the insurance game started to shift because of inflation. And, you know, everybody knows their house and their auto payments started to go up, you know, so there was no denying what was happening there. And it made the job of an insurance agent really difficult. And, you know, the phone calls were like, why's my stuff going up? You're like, I can't help it. I don't make the changes. So it's like, I don't know what to do. So, but there was a scripture that came into my life called Proverbs 16:3. And it's, I commit my works to you, Lord. I trust in you, Holy, that my thoughts would be agreeable to your will, that these plans would be established and succeed. And my life went shoof. And then, you know, so then here we are. And we kind of rewind a little bit further back to 1997 when I was like, I used to love writing, right? And so we're going to tie this all together in a little bitty pretty bow in a few minutes. And so I would write poetry. I would write different types of writing, creative writing, and I just had a lot of fun with it. Then I met this like stinky boy who tells me that I don't like your work. So I literally took my binder of work and threw it into the SIU Carbondale dumpster behind my apartment. And it didn't write again until, someone asked me at a chamber event, like, are you ever going to say anything to him? Like, we've already forgiven each other for what all of the other things was. Does he know I did that? No. Was that on him? No. It was on me because I took on, but he might have had his thoughts, but I took on the insecurity, right?
Right.
So I have to own my part in my inability to seek out help to deal with allowing someone to steal my gift, right? So, I mean, you can't blame everybody for what you do. You have to take ownership of the actions you choose based upon someone else's feelings about you. Those feelings, though not your fault, still played a role in you making a bad choice, right? So then here I am. I go to this prayer and worship service last January, so a year ago, right around now, and just sat at the foot of the Father and just enjoyed the presence of the Holy Spirit, worshiping, whatever. Before that, I saw a poetry book and I said, hey, I used to write poetry, but I threw it away based on what I told them the story earlier, what I told you. And they're like, never throw away a gift God gave you. So like that just spun in my head. And then a couple days after this prayer and worship service, all of a sudden a poem comes to my mind. And I'm like, oh, I want to write again. And so then here I am. We had this like Andy and Bear that kept escaping the St. Louis Zoo last year named Ben. And so I wrote Ben's Great Escape. I wrote Ben's Big Move because I moved him down to Bronzeville, Texas, close to the Mexican border. So I won't be visiting him until that's all problems fixed. So the I could have a little laugh out of Patrick there. So I decided that I showed the zoo. They loved the stories, but what they didn't like was the fact that they were reminded. They didn't want to be reminded of the fact that they had a problem with this bear staying in his habitat, and rightfully so. I mean, it's legal issues, all the things. So even though he didn't hurt anybody, it was still a big deal. Like, we shouldn't have our animals outside the habitats, even though we love him because he can figure it out, because we love rebellion. Everybody loves rebellion. Sure. It's fun and it's interesting. So then here I am. I'm like writing these stories. I'm interviewing for the jobs because I know I'm meant to not do what I'm doing anymore, but they're still in the realm of insurance. And so then someone teaches me how to write, how to publish the books. So then I publish those in May on Amazon, and I found a self-publisher who is actually a part of Master Networks. So that I'm down in Fenton, and so like I use them for all my printing needs. So this is why it's so important to network everyone who doesn't. And then also I get a call in June, and it's somebody wants to buy my agency, and I'm like, and every day I used to go to work, and we could talk about this more later. I hated it. Like I just, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing anymore when you're not serving well anymore. And you got to get out before it just goes poof down the toilet, right? So here I am. I'm given this. I told them to give me an offer, right? Like anything's for sale for the right amount of money. It ended up being the right amount of money. I'm like, sold. I got the text message while I was in church, and I'm like, deal. Like, let's go. So then I didn't have to put my business up for sale. God sold my business for me. And then I'm sitting there interviewing for these jobs, and like God's just speaking to me. He goes, do you want to write full time, or do you want to keep doing what you hate? Do you still want to work in an industry you no longer love anymore? And I'm like, okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We are going to take, as I say, my son likes to say when he plays games, I'm risking it for the biscuit, Mom. So risking it for the biscuit. Then no longer insurance agent after August 31st. And so like now I've been all this time, I've been like really focusing on what I'm supposed to be doing. And so like, I'm authoring these books with the Strong Girl series. I've also started a company called In the Zone, where I'm teaching business owners how to create the story God is writing through them, to propel their business by attracting their ideal client through the use of the book to the business card. The book's going to cost you $5. You waste more money on TV ads, radio ads, billboard ads, all the things. A $5 book to your ideal client, you will return that ROI all day long if they know the heart of why you're doing what you're doing. So there.
So good. So good.
Yeah. I like that.
Yes. I'm so proud of you, by the way, my friend. Like personally.
I'm
just here.
I'm so proud of you. That's so awesome. Because I remember when I first met you with the insurance, and one of the first things you ever said to me was, I really struggle with worrying about if people like me or not. And I just want everybody to like me, but sometimes they don't know how to take me. And you were always so like, how do I make everybody else happy? So the fact that you're like standing in what I believe is probably your purpose and what you're excited about, what you're passionate about, what you love, and you get to do that as like a job now. I'm so proud of you and happy for you.
Well, there's a lot there, because even in this, like I'm meeting some, very successful business people who are making millions of dollars a year, right? And so I'm finally getting to know people, and they're not wearing the Armani suits. They're wearing clothes, regular clothes. And so so next month I'm going to be getting this green strip, like this blue-green strip, and I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I've got to start figuring out, who am I? I've been living this life of a lie since I threw the freaking poems in the damn dumpster in 1997. So then I'm having to rewind all of this 28 years of lie, 27 years, how many years it is between 97 to 2024, and undo all the masks that I put on. Like even going to college, getting my interior design degree and architecture degree, I only did it because my cousin did. Like how annoying is that to take on debt to get a degree? And I thought I wanted to draw, and I was okay at it, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't your thing.
But was it?
Yeah.
Because no one taught me how to really find the gift inside me, right? So it's okay. Like I cannot take on the spirit of anger and bitterness for something that I can't go back and change. But my point is what I can do is I can equip the younger generations to figure out their gifts now, to undo the notches the trauma happens. So we're not waking up in our 30s and 40s, 50s and 60s completely shattered and don't understand why we're a-hole parents and why we're bad business owners, why we don't manage our money well, why we spend our money or doing things we shouldn't be doing, which is, drinking, smoking, doing drugs, because we're trying to numb the fact that we're broken.
Yeah.
It's true. So, that's really good.
So true. So true. No, I love it. I love it. I love the honesty, because I think a lot of people out there, and Patrick, you say this a lot, right? Like a lot of people don't realize that like they're not alone in that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not the only one. I say that all the time. I mean, you're not the only one. There's 12 other people listening that are going through exactly what you're going through. So you're not the only one.
But understanding that to your core is where the healing begins, right? Mm-hmm. And then, but then not just staying there. Don't just take that information like, I knew I wasn't alone, and then staying in your muck. You do not have permission to remain where you are.
I like that.
Right?
That's pretty good.
I also have a nickname called the Hammer, and that's my hammer, yo. Like, you don't have permission to stay where you are. Like, get up. Wow. And there's enough people around you to help you out.
Yes. That's right.
There's a lot of people. I mean, just your immediate people around you are willing to help, and you may not even realize that. And most people don't realize that. They're too afraid to say something, or they're too, I don't want to burden them with this. No, in all honesty, you need to say something. Mm-hmm. You need to speak up.
Who was a pivotal person for you, Wendy, that like helped you realize? I mean, was it just the Lord and church in that environment, or was there somebody in your life that was like, hey, you need to do what is going to fulfill you, and I support you 102% in that?
So obviously Jesus gets all the creds, but let's just I thought we lost you. I'm like, wait, Pet has to come back. All right, so
we just want to sandwich you.
How did that just happen? It's crazy.
We can't edit any of this. This is too much fun stuff. So anyway,
this is the whole point.
All right. So interesting story. And it's funny that you bring this up. So back in 2008, so I turned 30, and I think I read the book by Dave Ramsey that he has, the Money Makeover, whatever that's called. Sorry, Dave. But it led me to a book called 48 Days to the Work You Love and No More Mondays, which is written by Dan Miller. And interestingly enough, he just passed away Sunday. He just had aggressive 4-stage pancreatic cancer, and he lived by his 48days.net. Like he lived by 48 days so much that, interesting fact, he had his MRI 48 days before he died. Like God gave him 48 more days past the finding out that he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And I know his son really well, Kevin Miller. And so like he had said, like, we were given a gift. Even Dan said, like, he did his last podcast. He did podcasts every day for 17 years. And so like, and then he did his last one. He's like, hey guys, I've got cancer. This is my last podcast. I want you guys to know, like, everything's going to be fine. And then like he did a video and he goes, whatever you do when I'm gone, don't make a statue about me. Don't do all these things about me. Like he had the ability, he was given time, even though a short amount of time, because he lived all his life. He lived his dream his whole life. We should all be so blessed to not have any regrets and not have any of these things. He could probably be like, what's your bucket list? He goes, I've literally done everything I've ever wanted to do in life. So it was very easy for him to, while probably a few sucky moments, right? Let's just be real. Like, nobody wants to get that, hey, by the way, you've got 48 days left, right? So, but he exited on such beautiful grace. But when I found out in December, like before Christmas, for 2 days, I literally grieved like I was losing my dad, because had I not, it was those books. Okay, I'm gonna pivot 1 second. How many people in this podcast believes they've been unplugged from the Matrix since birth?
That's actually a really good question. Yeah, how do you put your hand in front of the thing?
Because here's the thing. All of a sudden I read his books and I realize why. Not only biblically speaking, we're not from here, right? But then also I'm not supposed to be a W-2 employee. It was all of a sudden there's this other world called entrepreneurship. What is this? Finding the work you love? I don't have to hate my life every day? What the what?
This is
and
true.
the reason why there's no more Mondays is because we, so many people on Sundays just want to die because they don't want to go to work on Monday, right? And so now I've had people to ask me, now that you're living your dream, what's that like? And I'm like, once it starts monetizing, it'll be amazing.
Right now I'm broke, but it's still fun.
Once the Lord says, because you know how you guys know exactly what it's like. You build something and you're at the infant stage. You're like, all right, I think I'm on the right track. I think I'm on the right track. Lord, make sure you establish my steps, do all the things so I don't stumble or fall, and I rebuke the devourer, and Satan go away, no stealing, killing, destroying in my life. I have no room for error. That's the life I'm living right now. I'm unplugged from the Matrix, and it's I'm, super excited because I'm helping a lot of people, and we all know that when we help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. Who said that? Quiz time. Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Who was it? Oh, okay.
I was gonna say either Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn. They've typically said everything in business, right? They're the two.
pretty much. So, yeah. So that's my story. It was Dan Miller is really why I'm here. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of other people that have helped along the way, right? So,
Sure. So, question, including Patrick in this way. So, I have obviously a stepdaughter, but she's in her 20s, right? So, but with the younger generation, Patrick has this beautiful little curly Sue, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, tough as nails daughter, right? Now, she probably going to skip over the trauma part. I know her parents pretty well. They're decent people. They do a great job, right? They're raising great. Her and her brother are raised by great parents, right? But Patrick has a little girl. What is this a book that we could? She's 3, 4, 3. She's 3.
4 in April.
Do your books? Is there a demographic, or could we the pictures in this illustrations? Thank you. Sorry, I was stroking out a second. Illustrations. The illustrations, is that something that Patrick and Ashley could be reading to them, or giving her to start reading when she gets to kindergarten? How does it serve somebody's kid that's a daughter that's at 3 or 12?
I mean, I wrote it for 8. So Strong Girl Your Love is written for 8 to 17-year-olds.
Okay.
So would a 3-year-old find them interesting? It might be a little long. So each of these are 11. There's 11 short stories. So most of them are about 1,000 words, no more than 2,000. One story is really long, but that was when we went on vacation and there was a crazy car accident and all the things. But she probably would not grasp turning 13, and then at one point the boys grab the bras and fling them at the girls. That didn't happen. My daughter's like, that happened. I'm like, it did happen. I think the boys snuck into the party, and my sister thought it would be funny if we had bras in it. So There's some that are probably for 3-year-olds.
We do some things.
What do you say?
I wasn't a part of any of that.
He said, boy, we did some mean things.
But like, I don't know. Like one of them's the story's called "The Day Briella's Face Changed," because all of these stories are written from my life, but in the perspective of Briella. And so like I have a big scar on my face, so I talk about like what that was like. So it might be a little bit too of intensive a story for a 3-year-old, because it talks about how the mother was on bed rest, and it doesn't go into like real big detail, but it talks about how the girl like walked up to the counter and picked up a jar, and it fell and it sliced her face. There was tissue all over the place. So some things just may be a little bit much for a 3-year-old. That was also before 911, but I didn't say that part. Like it really, my sister, my daughter's like, they had cell phones. Like, no, we had to add cell phones into these stories because otherwise the kids would be like, what do you mean that was before cell phones? What do you mean there wasn't 911?
What do you mean you didn't just Google it?
The 70s.
Oh my God,
I
man.
love that though. I think you've picked an age range though, and since she's always writing books, maybe now we've just dropped a little nugget for her to write a toddler book for girls, right?
There is one that I did. I was the co-author, and that's Peanut Butter and Jesus, and so that's fun because it's about like sharing the gospel using making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I don't have them in here.
That's pretty cool,
right? The Ben the Bear books, those are totally appropriate for 3-year-olds. So you can get those off my website. Like I said, or just text me your address. I'll send you a couple.
There you go.
And text.
It didn't mean everybody.
Not everybody. Whoops. I forgot.
The comments are gonna start crying.
I had to clear that up real quick. It's like she just meant me, everybody, just me. I'll let you know how it was.
Right. Edit that.
So at the end, when we say, "How do we get a hold of you, Wendy?" Everybody's like, "Hey." I love it. I love that. I love that the book is the age range of like probably when girls hormonally, I would assume, go through the most, right? So that's great.
God, I could only imagine.
8 to yeah.
Yeah, the next book I'm writing is it's called You Are Enough, and it goes through self-esteem and bullying. And that one is a little tough to write because the first story that I wrote for the book is called Song and DePantsed. And I read it to my daughter, and she's like, kids actually made a song about you. And there was a girl that really came down the hallway and pulled everybody's pants down. I'm like, yeah. She goes, I'm so glad my school has an anti-bullying policy.
What school did you go to? What in the world?
What's brilliant?
And don't tell me you were homeschooled. That's
What's really cool is that this girl and I are really good friends now. But she shared with me why she was that way, and she was being bullied herself. We always know that the bullies have bullies, right? Yeah. It's either their parents or it's their friends or siblings or a relative. Like something's happening. You don't just become an a-hole. We're born. I mean, look at it. Our kids are taught to hate, right? They don't naturally hate. Now, do they naturally hit their brothers and sisters with toys? Yes, all day long. So I guess they do have hate and sin inside of them. But it's different than when, you're literally hurting somebody and trying to laugh, right?
No, that's a learned action.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy about that is I feel like just to make you feel better, Wendy, I was also pants when I was a teenager. One time,
you were pants.
No, listen, it's a core memory for me. And you want to know why? Because I was walking off the bus, and when I was pants, my underwear said "bite me" with an apple on the bottom.
Yes. That's perfect.
Till the day I die, I'll remember how that felt. Like how horrible.
That is awesome.
Because of all days, the day I have my underwear that say "bite me" on my butt.
That's perfect.
I might buy you a pair and just send them to you. Because can you redo this and stuff with your cute ass you got now? Sorry.
Thank you. You have to. But so I understand. I'm gonna be reading that story. I'm buying that book. So
that's really cool.
But what I've learned, because I was bullied a lot in high school, what I've learned is that your bullies don't realize that they were bullying you sometimes. Because I have bullies now that will ask me business advice or reach out, and I'm like, I'm not bitter anymore. I've let it go. Obviously, it's we were all kids, right? But like, I just look at them like the audacity of you after what you did to me my whole life, right? But they don't even realize that they did that to you.
Right.
No,
Well,
they have no idea. They don't think about it. It wasn't something that was ingrained in their memory,
right.
So why would they think about it? But I just look at it as an opportunity to make money off them now.
Payback is profitable.
Yes, it is.
And for you, 5,000 more.
Yes, absolutely.
Restitution.
We have special fees for people like you. That's hilarious.
So good.
Payback is profitable. I want that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, we gotta put that on a t-shirt.
That's awesome. Where's Julie at? We're gonna need a t-shirt order.
But what's really interesting too is I was talking with somebody yesterday who shared with me about how like he never heard the words "I love you" from his dad. And he said he finally got to a point in his adulthood where he was so healed. He went to his dad and he's like, "Hey, I tell my sons I love them every day, and I've never heard those words from you." His dad didn't even know he didn't do it.
Wow.
So that's kind of going on with the bullying.
It's actually more of a common story than you would think.
Right. So it's like, don't be offended by something, because sometimes some people have their own stuff so badly that they don't even know.
Right.
Well, sometimes it's generational. Like, so my mom, some of the traumas we have from growing up is my mom was never, and she don't mind if I talk about this. My mom has been great with us working through our trauma. She's been very supportive. She knows that a lot of it was generational and that's how she was taught, so she didn't know any better. But my grandma raised 7 kids by herself. My grandpa died when the last one was 3 years old. And so my grandma had to be mom and dad, and there wasn't a lot of room for affection in that kind of relationship with the kids. And so my mom was taught that behavior. Yeah. So to us, it was, she will always show up for you. She'll be there, but she's never going to be like, I love you when you hang up the phone, or hug you every time she sees you. So like now when she goes to hug me, I'm weird about it. I'm like, why are you touching me? You know what I mean? But it was a learned behavior, and it was a generational thing where I think a lot of our parents just don't realize that because that was their norm, and they do the best they can. Where I think it's our generations that are like, okay, something we could have done better, probably. Like, let's change that for our kids, right?
Yeah, I mean, my mom and dad always said I love you. They always, hugs, kisses, the whole 9 yards. And I'm pretty sure I do it with my kids. I mean, I know, something my oldest said to me not too long ago, or I guess I picked up on something. He was doing a TikTok or something, and he's like talking about how I just want dad to be proud of me, or tell me that he's proud of me, or something like that. And, it made me think for a minute, have I ever said it to him? Does he know I'm proud of him? And I mean, in all reality, I absolutely am.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of us can get caught up just in the times, just caught up in our own world that a lot of times we might miss that little quick opportunity to say I love you, or that quick opportunity to say, hey son, I'm proud of you. And that could weigh pretty hard on the mind of a child.
Oh yeah, you don't even realize it, because
and it's not like you're doing it on purpose, or you're not proud of them. You're just not saying it, and it could be in a moment that they're really looking for that quick reassurance of okay, dad's proud of me. I'm good. I can go back to riding my bike. Yeah, and it wasn't even anything that you would have thought of, or even a time to say it, but. I mean, I agree with you. It's definitely generational.
Yeah. Wendy, what do you think about, like verbalizing that? Because I know we try to teach our kids to pay attention to actions, not words. But in reality, society is a word thing, right? Like, so what are your thoughts on that?
So I am a big believer. I'm obviously a very wordy person. I don't know if anybody, like, I max out word count daily. So... so saying I love you is very important. But what I do teach my children, here's where it's important. When you're hearing I love you from a loved one, you can believe that most of the time, right? Not always can we, but most of the time. But when we hear I love you, even from a loved one, we're going to add that in there, even with a loved one. What you say and how your actions are can be 2 different things, and then that's the red flags, right? It's like,
Absolutely.
we can have, when I was dating, you could have a man go, "Oh, I really love you," but he treats you like complete trash. Actions do not match words.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to not only verbally affirm them, but then equip them with how to recognize when the words don't match the actions. What do we do? I mean, that's what the Lord does, right? You can say, "I love you, Jesus," but if your life is complete turds because you literally are doing whatever you want when you want, your words do not match your actions. You can't love Jesus and still be a turd.
Right.
I mean, let's say that at the pulpit, see how many people leave. Like, this, you want to be better.
That's right.
When you authentically love somebody, you show them that love, and you are a better person because of that love.
Yes.
You don't get to
Oh,
be
yeah, absolutely. It's a compliment to what you already are at that point.
right.
Well said, Patrick. Well said.
I have them every now and then. You know that, right?
You actually have a lot. I do the editing. You actually have them a lot. Okay.
Okay, I'm just checking.
That's so good. That's good, Wendy. So where have you come then? So I had mentioned about how you had said, I don't like, I want everybody to like me. And I know not everybody takes me that way. Where have you come? Because I'm just seeing you. This is the first time I've connected with you in a long time outside of a few messages. I've seen so much growth in you just on this call. We're like, you're the same bubbly personality, but you just seem so happy. And I can feel the happiness and the fulfillment and like the growth in you. So where are you now with that people pleasing? You all need to be my friends and I'm going to make sure that happens.
So like what I'd like to say I've come really far, but what I have done is I set my boundaries really tight. The block button's really popular in my life. Like when I did that announcement video of my in the zone stuff, there was like I tagged a bunch of people and then someone made a turd comment. And I'm like, nope, block. Like I don't need, not only do I not need you to like me, I don't need you in my life.
Yeah.
So
That's actually
obviously it's not that easy with people that are close to you, but here's my thing is that I'm now surrounded, like I've asked the Lord to only surround me with the right people. So I don't have to worry about whether they like me or not.
Right.
Like yesterday, last week, I went to a summit and I wore a hoodie the whole time. And a revelation came to me. Girl, you're going to love this. This is exactly the answer you're looking for. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I wore a hoodie. I'm wearing one now because I'm like, here's my thing. If someone doesn't want to do business with me because how I'm dressed, I don't want them to work with me. Because why am I wearing a suit? If I wear a suit, do I feel good about myself? I do. I love it. Dressing up and looking really good makes you feel good. But here's the problem. I hate being uncomfortable. But then too, am I doing it for my pride and ego? Because if I'm doing it to attract others in a way that's not serving the Lord in a good way, I need to dress in a hoodie. So I dress in a hoodie to stay humble. Because am I doing the Lord's work or am I doing my work for my glory? That's it.
I think you're right. I think there's a time and place for all of it, though.
Totally.
You know, there's that, you know, the saying, you know, first impressions and things like that. I mean, it's going to be harder for me to hire the guy that comes in and ripped off, you know, jean shorts and a wife beater t-shirt versus a guy that comes in all clean cut and ready to work the next day. So there is that. Do you dress up for certain things to meet certain people? Yeah. And it's not that if they can't take you with the hoodie on that you wouldn't do business with them, because I totally get that. And trust me, I get that. I mean, you'll see me every house I go into. I'm not in a suit and tie. I'm nothing like that. You know, I'm in my hoodie. I'm in my baseball hat, turn around, you know, whatever. But I'm still presentable. It's not.
Right.
Sure.
It's not well, I just threw these clothes on. They're all wrinkled. It's more of a I've got a nice pair of jeans on. I've got, you know, decent shoes on.
No.
I don't look like a total slob.
No, you're acting accordingly.
Exactly.
Right. And that's completely fine. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we actually just did the podcast that's going to upload before yours. Patrick and I deep dive into the outer appearance of entrepreneurship and
Yes.
the expectations. So we
Right.
actually, I'll tag you in those clips when they upload. So we did just
That'd
do a
be
whole
great.
podcast on that.
Right. I mean,
I've
like I
done the
have
whole
my
suit and tie thing and try to show off, and oh yeah, I'm the owner of a corporation, and I'm in my sport jacket and nice shirt and jeans, and it's like, that's just not me.
Mm-mm.
If anybody knows me, I've got a goatee. I've got, every now and then I'm scruffier than this, and I got tattoos on both arms and all over the place, and it's like, well,
yeah. Well, and sometimes you can't. I feel like when you have to do the dapper thing and you're not the dapper guy, I feel like.
Now my dad is 100% dapper. I mean, that man
He
is,
wears loafers when he walks through gravel. Like,
oh
dapper.
my God, like he has driving shoes. Dapper.
Adore him. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So I mean, the man is always in a sport jacket. He's always in a nice pair of pants or slacks or jeans or something. So he's always dressed to the nines. He's there to impress. And I mean that comes from his background of always being in an office, always being in that type of clientele,
Yeah. He's probably comfortable there too. I
Oh,
feel
he's
like
probably
he likes
very
that
comfortable.
lane for
Yeah.
himself. Yeah.
When we all had t-shirts and stuff, and I give him t-shirts to work with, and he's like, can I have a polo or something?
Yeah,
Can I
my
have
mom
something
don't
else?
do t-shirts
Yeah.
either.
It's like, okay, I get it.
I learned that lesson. My mom don't do t-shirts either. I'm like, you could sleep in it. She's like, I have nightgowns.
That's so funny. I mean, there's definitely something to be said about, not just dressing like trash, right? Like, have your hair done, you don't have to have your nails done, but I did for this, because here's my thing. If I'm going to dress down, I have to dress up in other ways. And I don't mind this, right? I don't want my nails to be trash. Do they care about it? No, but I don't like how they look sometimes, right? So it's all about what makes you not only feel good about yourself, but then also, I had a guy, when I said that whole thing about the, if you don't like what I'm wearing in a hoodie, you don't want to do business. He goes, I feel like you're talking to my soul, he said. But he was like a shorter man. And he goes, but he was dressed nice. He goes, but I'm already a gnome, so I have to dress up so people can see me.
I'm already a gnome.
But he liked it. So I'm like, that's the funniest thing I've heard all day. But here's my thing. Dress the way you feel comfortable. Don't feel like you have to dress. Like, to me, it's the big, I get why people say dress where you want to go next, right? Dress for the position you want to be next. That's the corporate ladder bull crap.
Right.
Yeah. That we already know is a crock of lies. Right. So it's like, but the point is,
I don't have a corporate ladder. I have
a ladder.
Myself as the owner. Myself as I pretty much take on everything. Yeah, there's no ladder.
Well, if you're the top rung of the ladder, we're all good.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that we're the janitor and we're the CEO. We got it all.
Yes.
So
you okay over there?
You never know when you're gonna have to go muck a toilet.
Okay, sorry.
You okay over there?
I just had to get you one time. You
got me.
You opened it.
Oh, I did. You got me. I got it. You just wait. Just wait. Yeah. We got a lot of more podcasts to do.
But I think Wendy too, like you make a good point with the nails done thing, right? Some people might not get that, right? But if you're gonna wear a hoodie, there's a difference between wearing a hoodie, having your hair in a bun, and wearing sweatpants, and wearing a hoodie, having jeans on, having your nails done with accessories. Do you know what I mean? Like there is a different level of casual that you can make a hoodie.
I just rolled out of bed and forgot to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
And there's the I look like a doll, but I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm comfortable, and this is who I am. I'm embracing it.
Yeah. I'm doing a new photo shoot in the middle of March, and I told them, my last photo shoot 5 years ago, while still super relevant, like I haven't really changed a lot, but I'm in a white suit, right? And my big thing is I wanted to embrace the casual. Like, one, how can one be creative? How can one write when their pants are tight? They got buttons and they got zippers and they're cutting into your skin. I don't really care how skinny you are. They cut into your skin no matter what size you are.
Right now.
So like I told the photographer, and like I'm not going to wear a suit. I'm
just
probably
didn't
gonna
say
find
anything.
like a nice shirt.
Yeah.
But then, like, I want casual. I want the world to start embracing. I know this is going to be super cliche because everybody hates this word, their truth. I hate that their truth, but the point is we've got to start becoming like, don't dress just because Ashley looks amazing in everything doesn't mean I have to dress like Ashley, right?
His Ashley, because you ain't talking about me,
girl. Like I'm gonna look like you when I grow up. You're like 10 years younger than I am.
I'm dressed like Adam Sandler's sister the time of my life. But that's very sweet. Thank you. Love you.
I'm gonna sit over here. I'm not gonna get involved in any of this part of it. This is a trap.
No, because we're not even on your rung.
And it's a girl thing too, though. Like girls always want to like look good compared to the other girls. Where men, most men, there are some insecure men out there, right? But most men don't care, right? They just want to look good for the day and get through it so they can go home.
I don't even care if I look good for the day. I just want to be comfortable. And half the
that's
time I
my
look
point.
good, so it works out.
Want to be comfortable, and that's my point. Like you can go to your job sites and go to your houses and all the things that you guys do, and you can be comfortable while doing that. And because you're comfortable, you're also presenting yourself to your client that you're comfortable, right? Because they want to be comfortable. And so that's the point, is that like, you know, I think we become a society where we can be more authentic, more ourselves, be comfortable. You know, if that means wearing a tight dress with stiletto heels that hurt your toes, I mean, cool, you do you. But I'm going to wear like barefoot shoes and sweatpants.
I don't know whatever just thumped over there sounded like an elephant.
It was my foot. Sorry.
Like what shoes you got on? Boots and cowboy boots.
Yeah.
You know.
See, man, you're not my only friend that does this energy with me.
This is awesome.
Wendy,
I don't even know when to jump in on this. This is awesome.
All the time.
I can sit back and just relax today. No, you know, you look back and you look at 100 years ago to today's date, 100 years ago, and the way they dressed and the way people talked and the way everything was done is, I mean, have we gotten to a society that just doesn't give a damn? Because people would get dressed up to go to the grocery store 100 years ago.
Yeah, but I think that there used to be
there was a precedence that was set.
Yeah, but I also think that back in the day, there like you were also labeled as per class. Do you know what I mean? Like think of the way that people loaded onto the Titanic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You didn't have money for a certain like now you can get either you don't have enough money to get the room on the cruise now with the window, but that doesn't mean that you don't have money. That means you just didn't choose to pay for that room, right?
Right. Well, you get the option to pay for it. Back then you did.
Yeah. Where now I think like we aren't labeled in those. I mean, we are, but not as I don't think it's.
There's a few people I wouldn't mind labeling. Okay. There's a couple of them out there I think need labels. But... I might be one of them. I don't know.
But I do, because I do look back at the older generation. Like, I'm not a girly girl. I don't do the dress thing. I look great in dresses. I own a ton of them because I like to shop, but I don't ever wear them. A lot of them had tags. But I think that, like, back in the day, I do think that women maybe carried themselves a little bit more woman-like before we were allowed to wear pants.
Absolutely.
And I don't hate on that. I love that part of the past. And
men were more dapper back then.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't blue jeans.
No.
There was no such thing as a pair of blue jeans. And it wasn't until maybe our parents' generation that actually got blue jeans. So you see your grandparents, grandpa, my God, grandpa, I'd never catch him in a pair of blue jeans. It's slacks.
Yeah.
And then my dad is either slacks or jeans.
Yeah.
More slacks than jeans, probably.
Yeah.
You won't catch me in a pair of slacks. So it's like...
Yeah. I think that part, though, like, I like the corsets and the dresses, and I think that was fun and cool.
I would love to go back to that.
Yeah.
Not for me, I'm saying.
Yeah. Or like that, you know what we do then?
What?
We throw a costume party. We get an opportunity to dress that way.
Done. Let's do that. Let's set up a costume party for all our listeners.
Okay.
You know what my most favorite costume party I've ever been at was when my grandma's 80th birthday, and she was born in 1920. So we did a roaring 20s. And so the men showed up and like as gangsters, not gangsters, mafia, and
Yep.
then the women showed up as flappers, and it was fun. Like it was like, you know, everybody dressed in parody clothing. What's really annoying is when they're doing the 80s Chinese and we still have our 80s clothes. Like, just stop throwing 80s stuff. That's not far enough back.
What do you
Like,
mean? They just on TikTok they're doing 90s at school, like the era, like the Spirit Week, they're doing 90s
oh
or
yeah.
early 2000s is a trend. I'm like, that was
Early
like
two.
5 years
I
ago.
was
What are you
out of
talking
school in the early 2000s. I was out.
Well,
That
here's
doesn't
what's
count.
terrible. Now, everybody was born in the 1900s here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My daughter is like, well, that was back in the 1900s. And I'm like, it was not that long ago. 30 years ago was not that long ago.
Yeah, that was last century, Mom. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Or somebody,
Okay,
I have
so
a friend of mine. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to throw something at that because I've got a picked up a 71 F100 not too long ago. And in my head I'm thinking this is a really cool truck. It's like 20 something years old. And my wife looks at me, she goes, "That's a 51-year-old truck. What are you talking about?" I'm like, and I had to do the math. I'm like, "Oh my God, this thing's 50 plus years old now."
Yeah, right.
I was like, "This is ridiculous."
Well, do you remember when they used to do poodle? My school did poodle skirts, right? So like, and you know, and I guess you can kind of say so. The poodle skirt age was what, the 50s or was that the 40s? Do you remember?
50s.
Do you remember?
It was the 50s. My
Okay,
mom
so like I think that trend came back like for a micro minute because I think I saw some poodle stuff on like TikTok for a brief
I don't
moment.
think it came back.
Yeah.
No, but like there were people who were dressing with the poofy skirts.
Oh, yeah, they're called it's called
and then
rockabilly.
wearing like the shoes with the black and white
Rockabilly,
suits.
yep, that's right.
And so then wear the socks with the ruffles around it. Like it came back for a micro moment. But
And you jumped on that bandwagon?
me no.
Oh, I thought that's where we were going with this shit. I thought you were gonna be like, I jumped
my
in.
whole point was that but when we were like when I was in the 80s, so that was 30 years back, right? So I'm
Mhm.
sure our parents or our grandparents were like, that wasn't that
80s
long
were
ago. Like, why are
almost-
you guys dressing from 30 years ago? Well, the 80s was 30 years ago. So it's all about perspective. It's annoying that we're old enough that 30 years ago was only the 80s. I'm just saying, because like you said, 30 years ago, Pat, was only 1970s.
Yeah, I wish. But yeah, I mean, okay, so the hardest part is, you know, I think my son has like a 2001 or 2002 truck. And when I bought it, I'm like, dude, this is like 5-10 years old. This is a perfect truck for you. It's no big deal. And I'm like, wait, this is 20 plus years.
I know.
And in my head, I'm going, no, this is not the body style of a 20-year-old truck.
I know.
Oh,
It's crazy.
So
Yeah, 'cause
now
we
that we have made our audience feel really old, we need to lift the mood a little bit.
you're welcome.
for yourself. So we have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes left. Again, I'm so proud of you, and thanks for coming on. This is so great. We'll have to have you again when you publish your next book. And I think she challenged me a little bit in the messenger, which I'll share with you.
What?
She asked me if I wrote books, and I have. I've written a lot of books because writing's how kind of like one of my coping mechanisms.
I wrote when I was younger.
And she asked
Won
me,
a lot of awards too.
Did you?
I did.
Well,
yeah.
you're have to share that with us.
I won a Young Authors Award in 6th grade. I won all kinds of stuff.
Well, there you go, Wendy. You're next person. But I never publish them because I just don't. It's not that I don't want to tell my story. Like we're starting this, and I do a lot on TikTok with that. But it's just it's very personal, not an autobiography, but very, intense moments in my life. And so do you write books? And I was like, I have a whole bunch. And she's like, we should talk more about like that. And I'm like, oh, I can't lie. I'm a bad liar. So I'm like, she's gonna challenge me on something. I know it one day.
Yeah, my challenge is let's get that published. Now that doesn't mean we publish what you've written, right? Like we take what you're doing, your ministry, as I'll call it, by reaching out to those in a mental way, like to make sure, like, because it is something we still in 2024 don't talk about much, right? Nobody wants to share their struggles. Everybody's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's not fine, right? And so that's why all these stories are based on what I lived through, right? So you could create a character And it doesn't have to be for kids. You can write to young adults, but still create a character. That's one of the reasons why authors do so well is they write, but they create characters off of what they experience. So that way, even though they're getting it out and people are living through it, you could say inspired by a true story. And then you're helping people without having, and you can create a pen name. Nobody has to know it's Ashley. You can call it whatever you want. Everybody can still figure it out. It's not like the world anymore is super like easy to find things. But my point is you can still help people and not have it be your original journals. And so that's
so I have this idea as you're saying that, right? What if we did one for our podcast and it was Patrick talking about the mental side of things and we call it Men and Miss because it'd be mental mismanagement by mental mismanagement, right? And but the title is Men and Miss, and then we are adding to it together.
I love it.
Look, she's already writing it down. Look at her. She's like, tell me more.
Men and Miss. So yeah, and the main thing is just, outlaying what that looks like and actually finishing it. So that's essentially my call. Like I do believe I'm helping people like get these books out because we help people with our testimony. And if we only hold it inside, we're not helping anybody.
Dude, and it could be mental miss, and it could be stories of people that have come on the podcast and maybe the stuff they don't say on the podcast. Like when Don walked out. Do you know what I mean? And so the stories are coming from our guests that have been on the podcast. That
they weren't sure if they could talk about or wanted to talk about at the time.
Or weren't ready to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
When he's like, okay, someone's our appointment.
She's going to have to come in here.
I know, you're going to have to come out here.
Yeah, we're going to have to do it at a time where I don't have to get a kid off the bus. Like, that's my thing is that you guys are an hour away, and I'm like, if there's St. Louis traffic and then there's rain and nobody knows how to drive in any weather in St. Louis. And so I'm like,
the sunshine will come out again and kids will be off school and so we'll work it out for sure.
Yeah, like totally.
But Wendy, tell us where we can find you. Tell the guests where they can find you. I know where you are.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was creepy.
So this book launches on the 26th of January. So
hold that back up there again. Hold that back up there again.
We need a thumbnail for TikTok or YouTube. I mean,
scoot back. There you go. Strong girl.
Smile.
You are loved. That's a really good. Look at her smiling in the back.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Strong girl, you are loved.
Yeah, that'll be available on Amazon. So I'll have a clickable link on my website, which is SOEL. So SOEL. So SO for my daughter's first initials of her name, and then EL for my son's. So soellovebooks.com. And then and so they're all you can message me from in there. There's ways you can contact me in there. If there's ways that you want to talk about, hey, I've always wanted to write a book, but I've never done it. I've never followed through. I would love to figure out how I can use a book to propel my business into 2024 because it's a 6-month walkthrough. Like that's what we'll have the book finished in 90 days. Like I'm going to push you to get that done. And then we'll creating a launch sequence and what that looks like. So then
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so it's really just learning on how to use it to share your story in a tangible way where, especially when we're impacting people on a daily basis, or we want to reach people, or like sometimes they just want like, people like, yeah, what is it about you? Or like my coach had a book and I go, hey, like, how can I do this? He goes, hey, page 19 of my book. So like if you're teaching people how to be better construction business owners, right? You can you can write your story about it. And like if you're starting to coach people, or if you're doing the mental thing, like you can share the heart behind why you're sharing your, this, mental journey, right? Because we're trying to remove the stigma that comes with the fact that we all have our things.
Yeah.
So like
I had one yesterday. I did.
Yeah.
Like this morning, if we would have done this podcast this morning, I would have done it crying because I was in such a like weird place. And I'm like, what is my problem? Went and saw my chiropractor, put my head back on straight. Now we're good to go. I'm like, whoo, that's all tired.
Went to see the chiropractor and he put my head back on straight.
Yeah. Anybody who knows upper cervical chiropractic care, that's what that's about.
Yeah. Ryan's there right now, actually.
Nice.
Dr.
I got a doc on staff here at the office. So.
It's a different kind of chiropractor.
Yeah, it's dealing with the atlas and axis bones at the top, like right here. And so
too.
I'm gonna have to hear about this.
So, your book will probably be launched by the time this launches. I think this episode comes out following Friday, 2 weeks from
2
now.
weeks. Yep.
Okay. Which is great though, because then you can send me your link and I'll put the link on the original post, both in YouTube and TikTok right. So they'll be able to go straight to the ordering of your book and then be able to find you in another place. And I'll tag you on TikTok too. Okay.
Sure. And I also have a Strong Girl book club for parents. So like if they want to follow and be learn how to follow that. Why did you guys look that way?
Oh, well, you don't hear it, so it's good.
Oh.
Right.
Did I look weird too?
Don't you love her?
No, she fits in. This is perfect. Oh my God.
You're the best. Well, I know you guys good stuff. You have the best, and I am so grateful again that you have been on. We're definitely have to have you again. You have to come out here. We have a 30-minute break, and we're gonna chat more about this book, me and Patrick, for sure, and make plans for that. So, I'll be in touch with you whenever I get back next week. But thank you so much for coming, and I'm gonna close this out. You get to hear our outro if you haven't listened yet. You're gonna love it. Ready?
Okay.
All right, guys. So thank you for listening to Mental Mismanagement, where perfection is for losers, and we're just winging it.
It's the best.
There's